So what I'd like to do is start with Stephen, if he could talk towards what he sees in that community.
Gary, thank you. Thank you. It really is a personal privilege for me to be with everybody today. Matt, thank you for your service to our great nation. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Thank
And
you.
Kelly, thanks so much for all you do
Thank you.
for so many of our most vulnerable in our community and their families.
Yes.
And thank you for having me today. I'm New York State Assemblyman Steve Stern. I am currently serving in my second term in the New York State Assembly. Prior to going up to Albany, I had the privilege of serving my community, the 16th Legislative District, in the Suffolk County Legislature. I served in the legislature for 6 terms, or 12 years. I bring that up because in all of the 12 years that I served at the county level, it was one of the greatest, most fulfilling responsibilities of my professional life to serve as the chairman of the Veterans Committee for all 12 years in the Suffolk County Legislature. Now in the New York State Assembly, I am a proud member of the Veterans Affairs Committee, which has jurisdiction over all of the state matters that impact our veterans and their families. So with that, hopefully your viewers can appreciate that working with and for our veterans and their families on a daily basis for such a period of time is absolutely, and it always has been, one of my very top priorities. With those positions, I have had the opportunity to work very closely with our veterans, with those that love them, with those that care for them, and have had the opportunity to not just hear concerns, but to turn their concerns into legislative initiatives, which have become models. Models for how we serve our veterans here in Suffolk County, on Long Island, across New York State, and even initiatives that have become models for the rest of the country. In Suffolk County, we're very proud of the fact that we are home to the largest number of veterans in all of New York State. That's something that we should all be very proud of. And so many of our veterans through decades we see have provided outstanding service to our community, have been leaders across the board in business and in industry and in not-for-profits, and we have all benefited not just from their service in the military, but upon their discharge and their veteran status. But as proud as we are of our veteran community, still too many of our veterans face tremendous challenges when they come home after their service and in their later years. When they become dependent on others, still others become incapacitated and need an even higher level of care, and you guys know better than anybody that unfortunately, whether it's at the federal level or any level of government, that too often we fall too far short of what it is our veterans and their families deserve and certainly need. And so that has been my focus at the various levels of government that I've had the opportunity to serve in. We can certainly discuss some of the specific initiatives that have made real impact for so many of our veterans and have served as models for the rest of the country to follow. But what I will say is that whether it is our younger veteran that has served more recently and is coming out of the military with so much experience and so many outstanding skills to offer, any industry, we at every level of government need to do a much better and more aggressive effort in making sure that some of the very best of our community, the heroes that have served all of us, that we make sure that they have every opportunity to succeed, particularly when they come out of their service back to their hometown where they want to lay down their roots and follow in the footsteps of so many outstanding veterans that have come before them. And the services that Kelly provides in Helping Hearts at Home could not be more important, could not be more critical. Talk about serving those that have served us and their families. Our veterans and their family members deserve much more in way of government benefits that we provide. Now, in Suffolk County and in New York State, we think we do a particularly good job of providing services and benefits and helping those that are in need of assistance through a process that is, quite frankly, not the best process, and certainly could be a lot more helpful to those when they're in that crisis situation and can use that kind of guidance. When I served in the county legislature, we passed initiatives that established no wrong door. You, at the county level of government, if you are a veteran, you cannot knock on the wrong door. If you do, you will be escorted through the process, regardless of where you show up in the first instance, to make sure that our veterans are well educated, that their families are well aware of the services that are offered, and that assistance is there to steer one in the right direction. I know that Matt and Kelly will say the same thing, that way too often our veterans and their family members are just not aware of the services that are available. It is just not made aware, it is not offered in a way that that is economical, it is not offered in a way that is efficient, and too often veterans and their family members only find out about the services that are offered when they are knee-deep in a crisis. And that should be unacceptable to all of us. And so I know that in large part that's what our conversation is about today. What do veterans and their family members have available to them? What should they know, and what kind of proactive steps should they be taking so that if crisis comes, that they are not scrambling for essential information at that time, but are well prepared as a part of the planning process up front to make informed decisions so they can get the best possible care and assistance going forward. And that's a goal that we all share.
Yes, Steve, let me ask a question. Suffolk County is your background, okay? Initiatives, you've talked about great initiatives, so many different things.
Yeah.
Is there something, if you put them all together, as you look in Suffolk County, what do you think the primary, out of everything you mentioned, what do you think is the most important for Matt and the people who are coming out of the service right now?
I would say that there are really two initiatives that we should all know about and be proud of that we have here in Suffolk County. When we talk about challenges for so many of our veterans that are just coming out of the service, tremendous challenges. And they could be isolated to one area, such as finding, keeping, holding a good paying job. It could be a legal matter or a family law matter that is the spark of a challenge. And that leads to other issues, particularly housing. When I first came to the county legislature and I learned that Suffolk County is proud to be home to the largest number of veterans in all of New York State, that's wonderful. But too many of our veterans returning from service have challenges, and housing becomes one of them. And I've said this often through the years. Anyone that wears the uniform of our great nation and goes off to protect the ground that we stand on should never ever have to come home to sleep on it. That is absolutely unacceptable to me and should be to all of us. And so with that experience, I drafted a series of bills that together I titled the Housing Our Homeless Heroes Act, which was Suffolk County's very aggressive effort to bring about an end to veterans' homelessness. This had been an issue that had been going on for many, many years, particularly in the as our troops were rotating out of Iraq and Afghanistan, and so there were a lot of different elements to it. But one of the most important elements was Suffolk County's effort to take properties that had become dilapidated, that had ended up on the tax delinquency rolls, that had really brought down property values surrounding them, and really posed a tremendous quality of life issue for an entire neighborhood. That if those were properties that Suffolk County was in control over, that we would not just simply send them out to auction for the highest or too often the lowest bidder, that they would be properties that we would take control over, that we would work closely with appropriate not-for-profit agencies that had real demonstrated experience in assisting our veterans and their families, and turn those properties into veterans housing. To date, because of that initiative, I personally have been to numerous ribbon-cutting ceremonies where we've taken properties that were on their last legs, not productive, and turned them into wonderful housing for veterans and their families. That's one. The other, which I think is extremely important, is the creation and the implementation of the Joseph P. Dwyer program. The Dwyer program is a peer-to-peer PTSD counseling program, and we know, and I'm sure Matt can speak much more to this, that it is quantifiable, that veterans react much better, and we get better treatment and better service when veterans are working with fellow veterans, as opposed to just pure professionals. That's what the Dwyer program is all about. Too many of our servicemen and women that have challenges is directly relatable to their service and PTSD or TBI or some type of other cognitive impairment due to service. And the Dwyer program has been a program that has literally saved lives. And that's just not puffing. That's not just hyperbole. It has been quantifiably proven by university experts that have done the analysis after this has been a program that's now up and running for many years, that it has literally saved lives. The Dwyer program is now the model that we created here in Suffolk County, but it is now the model for so many other counties across all of New York State, and is now started to be implemented in other parts of the country. Those are two initiatives that I'm very proud to have played a role in, but more importantly, much more importantly, it's something that our entire region should be proud of, that we recognize the importance of our veteran population and their families. We recognize that we have a responsibility to serve them as they've served us. And in Suffolk County and in New York State, we put our money where our mouth is. And we don't just march in parades and thank our veterans and their families, on holidays or Memorial Days, that we make sure that we provide the services that they need and that they deserve.